But unless you work on getting out of that survival mode, you're going to keep sabotaging your success. You're going to keep pushing away and running away from the good things because that's all you know how to do.
I don't think enough people really talk about how terrifying it really is when things start going well in your life. I mean, is it just me? Is it just me? I really don't think it's just me. I lived in survival mode for 20 years, 17 straight years of heroin addiction. And that shit is so hard to come out of. This is my needy child. Come here, baby. I'm trying to do a video, Mama. Come over here. Come on. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where's your toy? There we go. Survival mode. Bro, I've been making all of my videos, the past, like, all the videos have been on me starting over, how hard it's been, losing everything, starting from zero, having to trust and solely just living on blind faith alone. And it's difficult. And I feel like coming out of survival mode is a huge, huge, huge piece in how to get to the other side. Because in order to come out of survival mode, we have to look at all the ways we self-sabotage. And for me, it's so incredible. It's like a daily fight for me to question whether or not something is my fault. Like, am I sabotaging the situation and not realizing it? But starting over from nothing and like having nothing and no stability, I have to focus on what I can control. And I can control this. You know, I can apply to jobs. I can be online applying to remote jobs and online jobs, and I can send in a million freaking applications. But I don't have any control over whether or not someone sees it, whether or not someone reads it, whether or not someone gets back to me. I have no control over whether or not I get a job. But what I do have control over is doing just this and making content, because I know that the more I do it, the better I'll get, the more people will see it, the more it will grow, and eventually I know it will pay off and it will lead to monetization, and I'll start making some sort of income from doing just this. Because I know for sure that doing nothing leads to nothing. I know for sure that nothing changes if nothing changes. One of the hardest things about coming out of survival mode is recognizing where your weaknesses are and admitting them. That I've been talking about getting monetized on this channel for over a year now. But now it's like it's my own fault. It's my own fault. Because I could have been way more consistent. I could have challenged myself a year ago to do multiple videos a week. Once I had the awareness and once I had the knowledge of what it takes to get monetized, I could have gone full steam ahead, but you know what? I didn't. And I sabotaged that. So now what I'm doing is I can take control of what I put out. How it's received is not up to me, but I can control my side of the street. I can control the content that I create. I can control the amount of videos I put out. I can control that. And it feels pretty damn good to know when you're doing everything that you can do. When it feels good to know that, you know, when you're doing your best. Because I'm going to be honest with you, most of my life, I have been half-assing shit. I have half-assed most of my life. And that was a pretty hard realization to come to. But there's nothing I can do about it now. Nothing I can do about it now.
Well, my earbuds just broke, and I would so much rather finish this video with the earbuds because I hate the audio. It's hot in here, I had to turn my fan off, so we're just gonna see how it goes. And there's background noise, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna try to make this quick. But my survival mode behaviors, and it's pretty similar for all of us. Like 17 years I lived in heroin addiction and constantly in survival mode, constantly in chaos, constantly things going wrong all around me. And over the past 5 years, 3+, 4 years of me doing the work on myself, I have managed to change my mindset in ways where I don't expect the worst anymore. Like I have been able to change, and that's a huge piece in my recovery, right? Is getting out of that Debbie Downer negative mindset that I had that kept me stuck, that kept me believing that nothing good was possible, right? And that change wasn't possible. However, another huge piece that is still so difficult for me, and I continue to learn things about myself every single day, is getting out of this survival mode. And it shows up in my life in so many freaking different ways. The first thing to do in order to change these things is to just recognize it and become aware, because awareness is the first step in literally everything. But for me, when I started posting on social media back in like 2021 and sharing my story, you know, me being in Mexico, in a different country, I remember when I realized that was a big problem. I was trying to reach an audience that spoke English. So posting from Mexico, my content was landing in front of Mexican people in Mexico. Like it goes to Mexico first, really, you know, because there's different apps for every single social media platform, the TikTok, the Instagram, the YouTube, whatever country you're in is the app that you're using. Every single country you go to literally has a different YouTube, has a different Instagram. You get access to completely different content depending on what country you're in. And I mean, that was so discouraging because my content was landing on nobody who wanted to see it. When I realized it was the VPN and I could start paying for a VPN, as soon as I started using that VPN and putting my IP address in the States, my Instagram and my YouTube, I went from 1,000 to 6,000 subscribers real quick. My Instagram, I went up to, and I just hit 18,000 not too long ago. TikTok is another story. TikTok, they're hip. They're all hip to VPNs, but that's not my point of the story. So when things started going well, right? When things started, like I got my first viral video and I got more eyes on my content, which is what I thought I wanted and what I did want, what I do want, to reach as many people as possible. I remember feeling scared, like seeing the numbers go up. My first reaction, my bodily reaction was fear. Like I could feel the fear, like literally. That's the best way I can describe it, was like the now what? Thinking, my first thought, what if I'm not ready? That fear of success. Yes, of course, this is what I've been aiming towards and this is what I want, but when it happens, my first reaction is to push it away, is to get scared and to run away from it. So that was different. Like I was like, wow, this is wild. And I'm still not comfortable. I mean, I'm not an attention-seeking person at all. I mean, I used to be years ago. I'm not very comfortable. I mean, I'm getting more comfortable, but I used to be, and I think this came with my healing. I used to be someone who liked to be center of attention, but now that like I have kind of healed that ego piece of me, I feel like, you know, I would so much rather not be in front of the camera, but whatever, I digress. So that's one way that I recognized this reaction, because I'm not used to getting what I want. I'm not used to things going well or going my way. So then I'm like, okay, now what? And similarly, if people reach out to collaborate with me, I filmed an episode for a podcast a couple months ago, and I think it'll be out in August. But my first reaction when I get emails or collaboration requests is to say no. my first reaction is to push that away. My first reaction is to run away from it. My first reaction is to think, oh, I'm not ready for this. Am I ready for this? And that is a behavioral response to living in survival mode for so long, because we're not used to things going well, right? I'm used to things messing up all around me. I'm used to that. I know how to survive when I'm in the middle of chaos. I know how to survive when things are going badly, when I'm in, survival mode. I know how to survive in that. And another huge piece of me trying to come out of this whole survival mode thing is working on my money mindset. And I talk about this, and I will talk about this until I'm blue in the face, because this is literally what I'm trying to work on so much. 17 years of heroin addiction, or any addiction, there's never enough of anything. There's never enough money, there's never enough drugs, there's never enough of anything. Constantly running out of everything, always. Living in fear of when it's gonna run out. It's going to run out. Fear of always not having enough. Coming out of that mindset, and I'm still working on it, because let me tell you, it is so hard to come out of a scarcity lack mindset. It is one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing I'm trying to work on. Because listen, over the past 5 years of my recovery, or even my entire life, let me tell you, but specifically over the past 5 years of my recovery, I've noticed this pattern in myself, right? Because I haven't had like a steady income or financial stability ever, really, in my entire life. And I'll get into that in a second. But over the past 5 years of trying to just survive on what I have, right? And even in my early days of this journey, I would still have to hustle for money. I mean, it wasn't for drug money, but it was for money to eat. So every month when it would come time to like pay rent or something like that, and I would stress out. Every single time I would have to pay something or pay rent or pay my electricity bill, I would stress out so much. Every single time. And guess what? Every single time it would work out somehow, usually at the last minute. And it's funny, that's been a pattern. I had some money that I was living off of for the first few years that I was here. Not a lot, like a few grand. And I stretched it out like so much. I would take out like a few $100 here and there to like pay my rent, but I would sacrifice, and I would like go days without eating because I didn't want to spend it. I held on to it like it was the last money on earth. And I stretched it out for years. A few grand I stretched out for like 4 years. And then when that money was coming to an end, I stressed out again to the max. This is a pattern. Every single time I'm about to like run out of money, whatever account I have, because I haven't had a finite amount of money for the past 5 years. I haven't had an income. I haven't had an income or a steady income of money. And so I've had to, rely on a few hundred here and there and make it stretch. And I stress out every single time I have to pay something. This is a pattern. Every single time I would be so close to running out, and I would lose sleep and stress out about it and lose sleep and wonder how this was gonna work and how that was gonna work and how I was gonna pay this and how I was gonna pay that. At the last minute, usually, I'd get help from somebody, or money would come in, or it would work out, and whatever I needed to take care of would be taken care of. So at the end of the day, it always worked out. Like, I will sit and torture myself and sweat in 110 degree heat and 80% humidity every fucking day without my AC on, because I am scared that I'm not gonna be able to pay the bill when it comes. So I will suffer through this heat. And then most of the time I give up because it's unbearable. Most of the time I'm just like, hey, you know what? It's working. It has worked out. up until this point. So it's funny recognizing this pattern because I'm going through it again right now. So this is how I kind of know that it's going to work out, because it always has in the past. So I feel like, am I doing that right now? Am I freaking out because that's really all I know how to do? But financial stability is something that, God, that's like my goal, is financial freaking stability. I'm not asking for $10 million. I'm just asking for some financial stability. Like, that would be great. To just be able to, like, I don't know, treat myself and know that I'm just gonna make it back. You know what I'm saying? Recognizing these patterns in myself, though, is wild, because I've lived without financial stability for an entire lifetime. So I don't even know what that looks like. I've never been fully independently financially stable. Even in college, when I had a job, yeah, okay, maybe I was financially stable, but I was still getting help. My dad was still helping me out to, like, pay the rent. He would deposit a few $100 every month or every few weeks to help me out with bills and rent. So it's like, and then shortly thereafter, I became a junkie. So it's like, I've literally never been financially stable on my own. And the whole point to this video is realizing that, yeah, we have the goal, whatever your goal is, but also recognizing that there's a lot of fear behind achieving that goal, because that's something I've never experienced before. I've never lived a life where things go well. I've never lived a life where I have financial stability. Financial freedom is the goal, but stability would be nice first. But it's like recognizing the ways that I sabotage this in myself, because living in the instability has been my comfort zone for so long. And where I just flub up mostly is just not knowing what to do about it. Like, I know these things, I'm super aware of these things, but what do I do about it? What do I do about it? I recognize that it's a problem, and I recognize where I'm self-sabotaging and what I can do differently, and I calm myself down by, like, telling me, it's gonna be okay, you have everything you need, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about tomorrow, focus on today, stay in the present moment, all the things. I talk myself down, I meditate. But it's like, these are the things that they're so hard, these behavioral, bodily thinking patterns that we accumulate over the years of just dysfunction and self-destructive behavior. And this is where the growth happens, for me at least. Am I sabotaging it to the point where I don't recognize it? Because, a lot of things, we're not aware of a lot of things. Our subconscious controls 95% of our reality. 95%. We are only consciously aware of 5%. That's it. So all the habits, the thinking, the thoughts, the patterns, the behaviors are all rooted in our subconscious brain. And we're not aware of them. What's the statistic? I think 1 out of every 6 or 7 people are actually aware of these things. The awareness is lacking in the world. That's obvious. But it's like, once you become aware, like, I'm aware. Okay, so now what? Now what, bro? Now what? I'm aware. I'm aware. How can I fix it? Another way this shows up for me is, like, my inability to freaking relax. I've always had an inability to relax. And I didn't realize how high strung I was until I adopted India, because she's equally high strung now. And it's all my fault because she can't relax. And I realize it's my fault, because when I'm home, you would think, like, I'm relaxing, but no. I'm constantly thinking about what I could be doing. I'm up, I'm down. I'm not ever fully relaxed until, honestly, right before I go to bed. And I always thought it was because I was just on the go, 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 go all the time in my addiction. I was always copying or hustling or in my car. I was never home doing, just like allowing myself to do nothing. And in my thinking, I understand that rest is productive, but on the other hand, I'm like, oh, but I could be doing this. And all I do is think about what I could be doing and kind of beating myself up because I feel like I should be doing more. And that's another thing too, is recognizing that success doesn't always come from working your ass off. A lot of times it comes from learning how to relax and to allow. So this has been so hard for me, just like learning to let it go and just act in complete blind faith, right? Because I have no idea where I'm gonna be next month, even in 2 months. I have absolutely no idea where I'm gonna be this time next year. And in a lot of ways, that's super exciting, but equally terrifying. So terrifying. I haven't come this far just to come this far, and I know this. I also know how powerful my words are, and I try so hard not to speak things into existence. So on the flip side, I want to talk about the good things and focus on the good things and live in the gratitude. But I'm also trying to keep it real. But I'm not gonna lie, bro, this survival mode shit, it keeps showing its face in new ways all of the time. And here I am, multiple years into recovery, and I'm still in survival mode in a lot of ways. Oof, I almost choked on myself. A lot of people think that, they just can stop using and it's automatically gonna make their life great. Well, I got news for you. Newsflash. It might look good for a little while. You might be able to hold a job and to save some money. But unless you work on getting out of that survival mode and learn to go with the flow and accept good things into your life, you're gonna keep sabotaging your success. You're gonna keep pushing away and running away from the good things because that's all you know how to do. Anytime I have one of these thoughts of fear, I challenge it by asking myself what evidence I have. What's the evidence that I have that it's not gonna work out? What's the evidence that I have that I'm not gonna be able to pay the bill? Because guess what? Even when I had less money, even when I had zero money, it always worked out and the bills got paid somehow, some way. I was always taken care of. So who the hell am I to question whether or not I'm gonna be taken care of in the future or tomorrow or next week? This is the shit I'm talking about, right? I don't have the evidence for tomorrow or for next week or for next year, but I do have the evidence of the past few years. And you know what? Everything worked out up until this moment in time. So I have no reason to believe that it's not going to in the future. The only thing that trips me up is thinking that I am messing it up somehow. And that's just me and my own thinking because I'm used to messing things up. I'm used to the other shoe dropping. I'm used to things going haywire. But when I really think about it, it's really always worked out in the end. And I had no reason to stress out so much. So now I'm having these same fucking worries about going back to the States and moving and traveling with her and scared that I'm not gonna have enough. And it's just on a grander, bigger scale. So one day I know I'm gonna look back on these videos and be like, damn girl, you're doing it to yourself. Doing it to myself. So this is your reminder that you are always taken care of and everything always works out. So start behaving like everything is going to work out because guess what? It always has and it always will. Even in the moment, like this very moment, I don't know for sure exactly what's gonna happen. I have absolutely no idea. Zero. And it's stressful and it's scary. But I do know that it's going to work out. Somehow. So I think that's all I have to say for today. I blabbed on for almost 30 minutes without my earbuds. So I swear to God, if this audio isn't good, I apologize, but I really don't think I have the energy to redo this video because I have no idea what the hell I just I have no idea what the hell I just said. So I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.
Also, I cut my hair the other day, and every time I cut my hair, I always think I cut too much. But I'll be damned, I'm not trusting anybody after, I mean, I've been traumatized way too many times in my life by people who do hair. So I just do it myself, and it's I mean, I'm lucky it's wavy because it's just a freaking disaster mess.